Welcome to AFrame Lesson 3.6. In this video, we're going to explore interactions that aren't necessarily tied to a component, but rather just actions that the user might do in your world, such as possibly clicking or pressing a key. Now, this is going a little bit outside of the realm of VR and treating AFrame more as a 3D platform. So let's get to it. All right, so we have a very simple world, not much in it. We have a couple of shapes here, box, cone, and sphere. And what we want to do is that we want to be able to plant some of these objects through our world by simply clicking in the world or pressing a key on our keyboard. So much like how we add an event listener to a component, we can add an event listener to the Windows object. Now the window object is pretty much the whole world, and this isn't part of AFrame. This is actually just part of JavaScript and HTML and that whole stack of technology. So let's say add event listener. Let's do a click. Let's add our our event handler, and let's start off with just a simple console log of hi. Let's pop this out to new window. Oops, let me do that. And you can see here, well, you won't be able to see, but you can, trust me when I tell you, I'm clicking, and you can see that the word hi is being produced. All right, cool. So again, we're not here to produce things in the consoles. We're here to produce things in our virtual world. So let's get access to the camera's position by using the object 3D attribute and then position and then X. And let's do the same thing for the Z. Because if you recall, we exist on an XZ plane. And let's go ahead and create a new box at the location where we click. Let's do a Y of 1. And let's give that a try now. At this point, we could close that out. All right, so when I click and I move back a little bit, you'll see that there's a box there. And just to prove you, I'm going to kind of spin around the world. I'm not trying to pull the wool over your eye. I'm going to walk back a little bit. And you can see here, every time I click somewhere, there is a box at that location. And I'm just going to click a bunch of times here. Matter of fact, you can even see how the boxes are being laid out. And there's a whole row of boxes. And again, this is us doing an interaction with the window and not with any particular component. So again, there may be situations where you will want to have that. All right, now let's go ahead and explore the Windows key down. Add event listener. And like I said in the intro, I mean, this now starts to treat AFrame more as a 3D platform. Because ideally, if you're in a virtual world, you're not going to have a keyboard readily at your hands to press keys. But again, it's still a nice functionality to be able to add to your world. So let's say key down function. We're going to put E here. And let's do a console log. And this time I'm going to do something different. I'm going to do E.key. And E is a parameter that gets sent to us when we press a key, where we could do a bunch of things. But we're going to focus on key, and you'll see here in a second what that actually gives us. Now let's open up our developers tool. And you can even see there, I press F12 to open up the developers tool, and that's what that got displayed. I could display A, B, the arrow keys. So now we can make a decision based off of what key we pressed. So let's do an if statement here that says if. Oops, I got to compare it to something. Let's do 1. So if the person presses the 1 key, let's produce a new cone instead. And we'll do X, 1, Z, which means I actually have to pull the camera position in this function as well. And while we're at here, let's do another if statement and else if that says if e dot key is equal to, let's say, 2, let's do something else. So hopefully you can kind of get the envisionment now that you can pretty much respond to every key that's on the keyboard. And we'll say a new sphere, x1z. And now we have some flexibility. If we click on the screen, we can produce a box. If I press 1, I'll produce a cone at that location. And then if I press 2, I produce a sphere. So let's say refresh. Let's do 1. Back it up a little bit. And there's our cone. Let's produce a sphere now. Back it up a little bit. And you can see there, I'm going to have a couple of boxes. I'm clicking on the screen as I kind of move around. Let's produce another cone. Actually, let's produce a couple of cones. So I'm going to use the arrow keys. And I take a step back. You can see the whole row of cones. I can do the same thing with the spheres. Kind of hit a left arrow key and a 2. And if you ever played Minecraft, this might start to get that same feel of creating your world by simply clicking on things and then having them get laid out on the world. All right, so let's go back to our presentation. Let's review what we've done. So to add Windows events, it's pretty much the same way that you add an event to a component. We use the add event listener. And there's various events you could specify. We focused on just 2, which was the click and the key down. And then from there, you have an event handler and you can pretty much do whatever you want there. You can control things in your world. So for instance, you might want to have something that rotates when you press J and L, possibly. Or maybe you can have, your numbers represent different weapons that you're gonna, activate in your world. So hopefully you're excited about being able to use the keys on your keyboard, as well as the mouse as part of your world, and enjoy.